Welcome, my name is Grant and I'm from Silver Rapids, and today we're going to do a little bit of reloading. We're going to show the minutiae in reloading the Silver Rapids Polymer Coated Bullets. So come on in. Now, regardless of whether you buy the big box or the small tub, each Silver Rapids package will come with a little instructional leaflet per caliber showing you the amount of flare you need to apply and the exact crimp pressure that you need to apply in inches. Now, bear in mind that each brass manufacturer is a little bit different, so that's a good guideline on where to start. Now, the dies come in a 3-die set. You have the decapping and resizing die, the powder through and flaring die, and the bullet seating crimping die. Now, regardless of whether you have a Pro 1000 or a V turret like this, the die set will be the same. Move on to the flaring and powder through die on the lead. Now, we would generally have a powder hopper on top, but we don't need that right now. Now, you do need to flare a little bit more than you would with an FMJ round. If you do not, you'll have issues later down the line, which we will discuss. So what we're going to do is we're going to flare this piece of brass, like that. So it's not the 18th century anymore, and we're not trying to create some massive blunderbuss with our brass casing. All we're trying to do is flare it just enough so that it holds the bullet snugly, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the bullet seating and crimping die. Now, with the lead dies, this is contained in one single die set. If you've been loading especially FMJs and CMJ bullets previously, what I suggest you do is unscrew the die in its entirety and begin from scratch. So this is the crimping force part of the die, and this is the bullet seating length part of the die. What you'll need to do is fiddle around a little bit with the crimping first and then apply how deep you want the bullet seated in your case. Alright, so let's add our bullet onto our case. And let's see where it is. Alright, now I'm going to use my caliper to measure the amount of crimp that I have. 0.383. So I need to add a little bit more crimp to this one. So what I'm going to do is put it back in the press here, and I'm going to turn the crimping die in a tiny bit. Okay, so we just recrimp this one. I'm going to give it a little bit of a measure to see where I am. 0.381. So that would be perfect, but we'll have another check soon that I'll show you. So what I want to show you is what happens if you do not apply the right amount of flare to the top of the case here. I'm going to try and send this through the bullet seating die. Now you can already see it does not want to stay put. So let me hold it in. And you can see we have a whole bunch of coating that's peeled off. So as you can see here, a little bit of a close-up, we've actually torn off some of the coating by not flaring properly. Right, so here we have the Dillon 750. Now the Dillon dies are a little bit different. So we have the decapping and resizing die as standard. We have the flaring and powder through die as standard. Then we have the bullet seating die and the crimping die separated. Okay, so here we have the Dillon. Sizing and depriming is exactly the same. Then we get to the flaring part, which is exactly the same concept as with Lee or anything else. You just want to flare just enough. So we want to flare just enough so that we can comfortably place the bullet top. So bullet seating is accomplished however deep you want it regarding your gun and your specific load. Now we get to the bullet crimping. Now we don't want to over crimp again. We also don't want to under crimp. Now what I recommend is, if you've been loading a lot of FMJs or CMJs, is to unscrew the bullet crimping die and start from scratch. Okay. So we're going to crimp this guy. Catch him as he falls off the chute. Okay, so I'm just going to check the crimp on this guy. 0.423.5. So I can leave it like that, or I can turn it in a tiny bit more. Okay, so here I have a case that I have not applied the correct amount of flare. As you can see, if I try place a bullet, it kind of stays there, but not comfortably as per the one that I did flare. So I'm going to send it up through the die and we're going to see what happens. Now, as you can see, I've torn off quite a bit of the coating on this one, and that is indicative of not applying the right flare. One of the indications you can use if you have applied the right amount of crimp is the plunk test. This does not have the right amount of crimp and I cannot force it into the barrel. Whereas this one has the right amount of crimp and it plunks right in, known as the plunk test. And welcome back. Thank you for letting me do a little bit of reloading with the Silver Rapids bullets. Now we have loaded on two of the most common setups in South Africa, the Lee setup, which is terrible, and the excellent Dillon setup. Right, one of the things I want to emphasize is please stick to the recommended load data for lead cast bullets, and please also don't stray over the maximum charges, especially with the imported powders. We definitely don't want to see blown up guns and zeroed stages on that. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the range.